Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is May 24. Today, as we continue in our daily Bible reading, we continue to work our way through the Proverbs, words of wisdom that are intended to help us and guide us as we live a life that we seek to be pleasing to God. Today we read some Proverbs that are regarding people or persons and their attributes. We start with a section of Proverbs on parents and children on page 652, and some great advice here for parents and children, and also some advice from parents to children. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They will be a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck. Whatever you've been taught while living at home, the Proverbs writer would say, keep that with you. Wear it in your life. Let it shape who you are and value the wisdom of your parents. Children's children are a crown to the aged, and parents are the pride of their children. Oh, don't we hope that that's true? It is a great joy to be a grandparent, and it's also a great joy when our children rise up and call us blessed, as we read in Proverbs 31. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Get wisdom, discipline, and understanding. The father of a righteous man has great joy. He who has a wise son delights in him. May your father and mother be glad. May she who gave you birth rejoice. It's important to maintain those relationships, those family relationships, where parents honor children, children honor parents, and there's this mutual admiration society of sorts. Even as the family grows older, even as the children move out of the home and start to have families of their own, there is this constant mutual respect, parents for children and children for parents. We read about the elderly at the top of page 653. A couple of comments made here. Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained by a righteous life. The glory of young men is their strength. Gray hair, the splendor of the old. There's something about gray hair that communicates wisdom for whatever reason. I remember several years ago when I traveled to Papua New Guinea on a mission trip, there was a man in our group who had white hair. And whenever we walked into the airport in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, everybody gathered around him. People who lived there who didn't even know him gathered around, and we started to wonder why. The reason was because his hair was white. They assumed he was some wise sage, that he would have some great words of wisdom. It's an interesting way that people reacted. And that's kind of what the Proverbs writer here is talking about, that there's something about aging and aging gracefully that should communicate wisdom for those who are younger. We read about women and wives on page 653. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. Houses and wealth are inherited from parents, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. It's important for us as husbands, as fathers, to value those who are a part of our family, to value our wives, to value our children. There's a section of Proverbs on kings and rulers. I love this one. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He directs it like a watercourse wherever he pleases. We don't have to panic about earthly rule, because we know that ultimately God is the king. He is still the sovereign over all creation. God is the one who decides which direction things are going to go. The king's heart is in his hand, and God is the one directing it. He who loves, he who loves a pure heart and whose speech is gracious will have the king for his friend. In other words, you don't need to fear people who are in authority as long as you're doing what's right. As long as your heart is pure, as long as your speech is kind and gracious, there's no fear from those who are in positions of authority. There's a section on messengers basically suggesting that when a person is in the position of a messenger, he is being trusted for a very important task and a very important communication. So trustworthiness is essential. Then there is a long description about companions, how important it is to surround ourselves with the right people. Let's read some of the excerpts about companions on page 655. A righteous man is cautious in friendship, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. He who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. When we choose our friends well, by the way, that means that even when we go through difficult times, they won't turn their backs on us. They will be there with us and for us. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of one's friend springs from his earnest counsel. Isn't it great to have those people who are close to us, who don't mind helping us and shaping us, and sometimes giving us some words of counsel that we would rather not hear, and yet because they care for us, they do it in a way that helps us to grow and to be better as a result. Then as we turn the page, we begin to read sort of a hodgepodge of collections of Proverbs. And you can tell that we're now nearing the end of the book of Proverbs because the editor of this edition of the Bible is compiling them together in categories. And now we're getting to that category that's sort of all the leftovers, the various concerns of different kinds. So there are some Proverbs about caution. The highway of the upright avoids evil. He who guards his way guards his life. Be careful, be cautious. A prudent man sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. Basically, as our parents would always tell us, watch where you're going. Be very careful. Look ahead to see what's coming. There are some Proverbs on reputation and how important it is to protect a good name. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. We should take great pride in a good way in our name, especially knowing that we're wearing the name of the Lord. There are some Proverbs on courage. Have no fear of sudden disaster or of the ruin that overtakes the wicked, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being snared. When calamity comes, the wicked are brought down, but even in death, the righteous have a refuge. There's nothing really to be afraid of. And so we can be bold. We can be courageous. Look at this one. The wicked man flees, though no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. God wants us to be bold, to be confident in Him, to face life with courage. And then finally, and maybe even most importantly today, the last Proverbs we read in today's reading are centered around hope. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. I love this. Always be zealous for the fear of the Lord. There is surely a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. That's a great promise, isn't it? Isn't it great to be able to read through all these words of wisdom from Solomon and others who are helping us and shaping us so many years removed from when the words were originally penned, and yet we still are able to glean so many advantages, so many lessons that will help us develop the character that God wants us to be. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.